apartment complexes and syndications is so much work that there's no way that only one person can do it. Because of that, you need to partner or join other people already who have experience in doing that, and other people also with other skill set. I mean, I'm a physician in pulmonary critical care. I'm not going to go and do surgery in someone. It's kind of like the same. There are different people with different skill sets in syndications, like the person who finds the property, or the person who works on the loan, or the person who manages the property, or who does the asset management. That's also part of the reason why we love commercial real estate, because it's a team investment.
Welcome to the Physicians and Properties Podcast, the show where we teach you how investing in real estate can give you the freedom to practice medicine and live life how you want.
Doctor!
Now, here's your host, Dr. Alex Schlow.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Physicians and Properties Podcast. Today's guest is my friend, Dr. Harry Nima Zegarra. He is a pulmonary and critical care medicine physician who completed medical school in Peru, and it's really cool. We talk a bit about what that's like going through medical school in another country and that transition into the United States. He moved to the United States for residency and fellowship, and we actually potentially crossed paths in Richmond, Virginia, while I started med school there, and he was finishing up his fellowship at the Medical College of Virginia. We talk a lot about Harry's journey. He moved to Texas and he started buying some single family homes that then led to joining a mastermind. And that mastermind was pivotal for him to get into multifamily properties. Now, the Nema equity portfolio has grown to 11 properties across the Dallas and Fort Worth metropolitan area, and he's a general partner in over 1,000 units in 4 different states and a multifamily development project. We talk a lot about how partnerships and teams are key in order to get started and to grow exponentially faster in real estate. This was an incredible episode that's really tactical and will be really helpful if you're just getting started investing in real estate or if you're looking to buy your next deal. So if you learned something from this episode, do me a favor. Subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. That helps other doctors hear the good word about real estate investing. So without any further ado, let's get started with today's episode with Dr. Harry Nima Zegarra. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Physicians and Properties Podcast. I'm really excited for our guest tonight, Dr. Harry Nima Zegarra. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. How are things going in Texas?
Hey, Alex. First, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's great here.
Well, I'm really excited to have you on the show. I've been following you on LinkedIn for a while, and it's been really cool to learn about what you guys are doing with Nema Equity. And congrats again, by the way, on completing another marathon. I saw you posted that there, so you're crushing it there as well.
Yeah, like as you can imagine, think of everything, like medicine, the family, like entrepreneurship, and also like your body and health.
Yeah, you got to make sure all those are aligned in order to function and be as happy and healthy as you can be with health, wealth, and family. So I completely agree. It's on my bucket list to run at least one marathon. I'm planning on doing a half at some point this year. It's just for me, I guess the hardest part is just finding the time to do those longer runs. So open to any suggestions you have.
It takes time.
Yeah, they got a 3-year-old and then another one coming in June. And so I might be running with the jogger for a while on paternity leave.
That's fun times with 2 kids. Yeah.
Well, Harry, before we get too far into this, do you mind just introducing yourself and telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, Alex, thank you. Absolutely. So as you know, I'm a full-time pulmonary and critical care doctor. My wife, she's also a physician. We both are from Peru, from South America. And we actually went to medical school together. So we knew each other already for 8 years before we came to the U.S. And just before we came, we got engaged and we got married. We actually came here about 17 years ago because of the nature of medicine and training and all of that. We have been different cities, states, and even like we were talking before about Richmond and Virginia, where I did my fellowship at your medical school. We have been in Pennsylvania and Virginia. After training, we came to Texas, South Texas, and then 7 years ago, we moved to Dallas Fort Worth.
That's awesome. We have some Virginia overlap, which is really cool there. So medical school in Peru, what was that like?
It was great. It was 7 years. The education is a little bit different as here because here in the U.S., you go first to college and then to medical school. Over there, you take a test, a national test for just 1 day, and then you go into medical school. And again, it's like the general studies and all of that. And at the end, it's 7 years. So once you start like in medicine, It's all medicine. It's not like here, for example, like in college, you will start in biology or something different, and then you decide to go in a different route.
That's cool. So basically undergrad and med school are just medical school instead of college.
Yes.
Do you graduate and then go into a residency program in Peru, or is it set up the same way in the United States where you go to residency, or is it different there?
Yeah, it's kind of similar. You can go and jump just straight into residency, but we usually do 1 year of service to the country. So we try like to go to different areas, to underserved areas, and we work as primary doctors. And after that, your CV gets stronger, and with that, you can apply for residency. It's a little bit different than here in the sense, for example, like some specialties. Whether in Peru, I'm a pulmonary critical care doctor here. So in Peru, you can only do pulmonary or critical care. So it's a little bit different. It's also 3 years or 4 years, depending on which specialty.
Was that 1 year of primary care enough for you to say, I'm not doing this, I'm going to do pulmonary and critical care?
I actually enjoyed that, getting ready to come here to the US. I was doing all the preparation and studying for the test. Actually, I didn't decide that I wanted to come to the US until late in medical school. I haven't taken like the test, step 1 or step 2, until after I finished like medical school. I was doing like the preparation for the step 1 and the next year for the step 2. I mean, it was fun trying to save some money to come here to the US, because you can imagine coming from abroad here is kind of expensive. And also if you go into the interviews, you go to one city to another one, it adds up.
Well, that's really cool. I'm assuming medical school, that was all in Spanish, or was it Spanish and English?
But it's mostly in Spanish. And I have seen the differences. So for example, in India or in the Philippines, it's more in English. We have this disadvantage. But in Peru, it's mostly in Spanish. So we also needed to take extracurricular courses in English so we can take the steps, and also we can have a better chance.
Yeah, that's intense. I'm sure that was a lot to learn all that in Spanish and then have to take those extra courses. You did med school 1.5 times probably.
Yeah, it was an experience.
So then when you moved to the States, is that when you did residency and fellowship and so forth?
Yeah, I didn't do a specialty back in my country. So we decided, my wife and I, to come here and to do our residency and fellowship.
What brought you guys to Texas after fellowship?
You can imagine coming from abroad, there are a couple of things or problems like a little bit different than the physicians that study here. In our case, it's like the immigration. When I finished fellowship, we were already on the path of getting the American residency, but we wanted to make sure. So that's why we came to Texas, to South Texas specifically, to an underserved area. And we stayed there for a couple of years until our immigration was fine. And we got green cards. And then after that, we were able to decide where we wanted to go. And we came to Dallas.
Yeah. Were you able to do like public service loan forgiveness or something like that while you're working through the immigration process?
No, again, as I was telling you, it's a little bit different. In our case, we don't have that many loans. Our problem is a little bit more like the immigration part. We have different struggles and challenges.
Well, the last question I have before we get in to your real estate journey, how much does medical school cost in Peru?
Not that much. I don't remember right now at the top of my head. And the reason it was because it was so long ago. And also I had some help from the medical school because of my economic situation and also because of my grades. I was getting some support and some help from the school. But again, it's way less than here.
That's cool. Well, Harry, tell us a little bit about your real estate journey and getting started in real estate.
Always when I talk about this, I always remember that actually it probably started back in Peru when with my family. I was fortunate that I'm first generation college educated in my family. That was very important for my family and for myself. And my mom specifically, she raised my sister and myself, and she needed to do different types of works and investments and businesses in order to support us and in order to give us a good education. Some of those investments were in real estate. And as you can imagine, it's probably very different real estate in Peru than here. Obviously, she bought small hotel back in my country, and it was around the hotel, and she did some renovations and she improved that. I was witness to see how she worked on that, and at the end, that also helped get a better life. She actually still owns that piece of property. When we came here to the US, my wife and I, we knew that we wanted to do something outside medicine because you have interest and we love medicine and all of that, but we also have other passion. We wanted to get into real estate. The first thing that we did is like to get educated. We were listening to different podcasts, going to seminars, local meetups, but also, as I was telling you, the nature of medicine, we were moving every years. We were not completely sure when was the best time to get. When we moved to Richmond, Virginia, we bought our first property. Actually, it was a townhouse. It was a short sale and nothing to do about like short. Actually, it took longer than a regular sale. It was 2012.
Okay.
So you can imagine the market was down in that moment after the 2000 crisis. We bought the property in a short sale at a discount. We lived in the property for 3 years, the time that I was in fellowship. And after that, we were moving to Texas and we sell the property. We were really surprised that the property had appreciated a lot. I remember 2011 to 2015 or 16, all the property values jumped a lot after what happened the prior years. We went to Texas when I was doing my first 2 years of private practice. We were considering staying in that area initially. And we bought a piece of land and we were considering building there, like a house. At the end, we decided to move to Dallas. We also decided to sell that piece of land. And it also had appreciated a little bit in a matter of a year and a half. So when we arrived to Dallas, we knew and we were very positive about what we'd like to do with medicine. So we started investing in real estate after we arrived.
That's awesome. What a great time to buy in Richmond. You're exactly right. The prices skyrocketed during that time frame. And I remember when I graduated college, I was walking around Richmond down in like Shockoe Bottom, Churchill area with my dad. And I got a $20,000 signing bonus for the Air Force. And to me, I was rich. And my dad was like, hey, why don't you buy a duplex or a triplex or something like that, fix it up while you're in med school and then sell it. And I did what kids typically do, and I didn't listen to them. And I wish that I did. I ended up house hacking an apartment and saving money that way. But I wish I listened to my dad because that would have been such a good time to buy in Richmond in like that Churchill area, which has grown way more now. And, I learned that my dad's always right and I should have listened to him, but that planted the seed for real estate for me. So then when I got in residency, I was like, hey, I'm not making that mistake again. Let's buy a house. Let's fix it up and turn it into a rental property and do that. So that's kind of how I started my journey, but it's cool, the Richmond connection there as well. So you bought the house in Richmond and then the plot of land, and then you got to Dallas and you're like, hey, let's do this real estate thing. What did that look like going forward?
Yeah, the first thing is that we decided that we wanted to stay here in the area in Dallas-Fort Worth. So we arrived and we liked the area a lot and our kids too. So we decided it's time to settle down here. The first thing was actually we bought our first home here in Dallas, where I'm recording right now in the moment. And probably 2 or 3 months after that, we decided to invest in real estate and to buy our rental property here in Dallas. And again, it was 2017, 2018. Already the value of the properties were up, but as you can see, and as we have seen, they're still going up and they always go up. We started investing in residential real estate, in single family homes, in long-term rental. And that's what we did initially for the first year or 3 years. And we started growing our portfolio. And thankfully, we went up to 9 properties initially, including a duplex. And we still keep all these properties until now. And then after a couple of years, again, the prices of the properties were going up. It was more difficult to buy. At that time, we were even buying off-market properties, not on the MLS anymore because it was so expensive. We were buying even off-market properties. And even here with off-market properties, it was really hard to make sense in terms of numbers. That's why we decided to start looking somewhere else. And also, as you can imagine, being a full-time doctor and my wife still was working at the time as a family medicine doctor. And even having a property manager, it was very difficult to manage all these properties. So we decided to jump in something different and something that will go more with our lifestyle. And also where we could learn more and also work with other people together and maybe also even helping other people or doctors like and investing with them. That's when we decided to invest in apartment complexes in syndicate.
What was that mindset shift when you decided, hey, it's time to no longer keep buying those single family homes. Now let's step it up. Let's buy these commercial properties. Was that tough for you to make that transition?
Yeah. So what I was telling you and what happened is that it was getting more and more difficult to find good investment properties. And again, don't get me wrong in this part. I always think that diversification is great. And I always think that investing in real estate, and there's so many ways that you can invest. There's not only just one way to active or passive. And that's a question that you need to ask yourself. So again, we invested in single family homes. We still have them and we still own them. There's nothing wrong about that. But also, again, we are very into apartment complexes and syndication, like the other way of investing that gives to us.
Yeah. Have you found that the commercial properties, the apartment complexes, are they really that much more difficult to get into? Or do you feel like now that you have the knowledge and some of the experience, it's just as much work, or maybe just a little bit more work, but you have those economies of scale with a lot more units and a lot more potential with those properties.
Anything in life, any start is difficult. Again, you need to get educated, you need to put time, to put effort. When we started also, it was kind of similar as when we started single family homes. We took our education. It took about 6 to 8 months of doing podcasts, audiobooks. By that time, there was already webinars and podcasts already. So there was a lot of more education available for us. We decided to go to webinars and meetups. And then we took the decision actually to join a mastermind or a mentorship group. And that's something that you don't necessarily need to do it, but sometimes it can fasten your way into an apartment complex. And the other point is apartment complexes and syndications is so much work that there's no way that only one person can do it. Because of that, you need to partner or join other people already who have experience in doing that, and other people also with other skill set. I mean, I'm a physician in pulmonary critical care. I'm not going to go into surgery and someone. It's kind of like the same. There are different people with different skill sets in syndications, like the person who finds the property, or the person who works on the loan, or the person who manages the property, or who does the asset management. So yeah, that's also part of the reason why we love commercial real estate, because it's a team investment. It's a team effort. Actually, after some time, when you get to know the process, it's not maybe a little bit more difficult in the sense of all the paperwork that you need to do, and again, the communications, but it's not much difficult than just buying a single family home. Again, there's economies of scale. If you compare just having 20 single family homes to having an apartment complex with 20 units, what is easier to manage? Like the apartment complex where you have everything centralized and in just one location.
I completely agree. I think about getting started in real estate as almost a metaphor for medical school and residency. When you're first getting started, you're in med school. You're learning everything about all the human body and the different specialties, and you're getting a little taste of everything. And that's kind of when you're getting started, you're getting that education piece. And then you're going into residency and you figure out, hey, I like this and I think I want to invest in this asset class, but you're still doing rotations in surgery. You're still doing these other rotations while you're in residency, like I did in family med. And then you finally figure out this is what I like to do, and you continue to do that over time. And I think a lot of times folks get really worried about getting started in real estate and shiny object syndrome and so forth. And I think it's okay to sample a little bit of different things, just like you guys did with your single family homes. And then you figured out, hey, let's focus on commercial. This is our specialty now, and let's stick to it with the multifamily properties. And I think that's really important. The other thing you mentioned that I want to make sure we hit on is the mastermind. There's so much information that's available. Anybody listening to this can get enough information to go start investing in real estate whenever they want to. The hardest part is the implementation. The information's there. The implementation is the hardest part. And I think that's what masterminds offer. They offer that accountability. They offer that community that's so important to get you started faster or to help you grow fast. And I think that's the true beauty of masterminds. I'm in one myself, and I've grown so much and had so much more success from that small monetary investment that I put in the mastermind. I've grown so much faster than I ever would have. And in that time, that time savings really adds up. So I wanted to make sure we hit on that because it is really important.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. People need to know that it's also not magic. It's not that you join a mastermind or a mentorship and you get your first apartment complex or you're an expert, but you still need to put your time and effort and do like the networking part. One of the important things about like this mastermind is that there are a lot of people who are doing this already for many years and full time. So they have all the experience. Again, like I was telling you, we were learning and starting to get into the apartment complexes and syndications for a couple of months. And then when we joined the mastermind in 2 weeks, we learned more than the past couple of months. So it was amazing.
And then you get the hands-on training and really take off from there. What did that look like? What did the first property look like from a multifamily or commercial perspective for you guys?
It happened a couple of weeks after we had joined like the mastermind. There were different groups inside the big mastermind, and we had found a property actually close to Kansas City. The following week, the team was go and check on the property, what we call doing like the due diligence. For your listeners, when you get a property under contract, it's kind of similar as when you do a single family home, but on a massive scale. So if you have 100 unit apartment, you need to do the inspection of every single unit. And that takes time. Also, you need to be present. There were people from different places, from Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado, and we all were going to fly to Kansas City to inspect the property and to do the due diligence, the physical due diligence, but also the financial due. After 2 weeks, we joined with him and we went there and we spent 2 days in Kansas City doing all that inspection. And at the end, it was a 156 unit apartment complex. We joined the team and the rest is history. We have had this apartment complex already for a couple of years.
That's awesome. 56 units. Congratulations. For folks that are listening and they're thinking, man, how in the world is Harry taking down a 156 unit apartment building and practicing medicine? Do you mind kind of sharing what a team looks like and how that might be structured in terms of one of these multifamily deals so folks can kind of think about where they may be able to fit into a team somewhere down the road?
Yes, absolutely. And that's also part of being honest and transparent. Usually when I talk with anyone, with a friend of mine or an investor who is interested in this kind of investment, I always tell, there's no way that I could be doing this by myself. I'm a full-time doctor, and I will be doing a disservice to myself and to you guys if I try to do this. That's only me. So I need to be part of a team. And again, in the team, there are different people with different skill sets that are helping in this project. So there's someone who does the numbers and evaluates like the different opportunities that are out there with the broker, the connection with the brokers and the communication. Sometimes he or she goes to see these properties if he or she is a local in the market and evaluate many of these offerings. Sometimes they even say it's kind of similar to single family homes. For every 20 or 100 possible investments, you only get one at the end. It's a lot of work up front. You do all the numbers or you do all the underwriting. Yeah. And then the people who also is going to help with the down payment, also with the money at risk. So those people who also have a network and also is going to help to get a loan. And if you think about that, when you buy a single family home, so you put also earnest money like the deposit. For a single family home, it may be a couple of $1,000s. For an apartment complex, you can imagine it's $100,000, $500,000, sometimes even more if it's a big one. So you need a team actually, because even though the people who does this have some money and have some network, still that's a lot of money to manage by any single person. And there's also the people who also help with raising like the capital so you can also get to close on this property. These loans for this apartment complex, and you sometimes need to close millions of dollars. You also need that part. And at the end, and now in the last few years, the most important part is the person who does the asset management. That person is the one who is going to see the day-to-day of the property together with the property management company. Of us get together, like the teams are usually 5 to 6 to 8 people, and we all share the responsibility. Right. For example, in my case, in a couple of occasions, I have been like boots on the ground. So I have gone like to see the properties here in Dallas Forward, for example. I'm also part of the team who goes for the due diligence, right? Like so 1 or 2 or 3 days on site to check on the property and to do the assessment. I also help with the capital raising with other doctors or healthcare professionals who are interested in investing in this property. And we participate also in the asset management code. It's a team effort. It's because of that. Again, I can continue also doing medicine. So I have a family and also I do some running and have marathons.
You're a busy guy. I think that's important for folks to hear because I think sometimes they get intimidated and think like, oh, wow, Harry's, he bought these single family homes and now he bought a 156 unit apartment complex in Kansas City. How in the world is that possible? I can never do that. And they forget the fact that this is a team effort. You have your acquisitions and underwriting and EMD and capital raising and asset management. So it's a team effort. Oftentimes folks forget like, hey, I can figure out which part of the team that I might be able to contribute to. And oftentimes these really good teams are functioning where folks are staying in their lane and doing the thing that they really enjoy out of the team. And then that's how these teams have so much synergy and do so well and grow so quickly. Have you noticed that's been something for you guys as well? I know you help out a lot in terms of helping each other out and working as part of a team, but have you noticed like, hey, I really like doing the capital raising, for example, and that's what really fires me up about real estate, and my other partner really likes to do the underwriting. Have those roles kind of been finalized at this point?
Yes, and that's why, again, like I was telling you, it's a team effort, and everyone has the different passions and skill sets. So part of being a physician also I have been in education. Right. I'm part of a bigger hospital, and we have the medical students, we have residents, we have fellows. To some degree, I enjoy the part of education. My wife and I, we do that, and we really enjoy that, the part of the content, like the part of education. And again, not just necessarily in apartment complexes, but also in general, in the real estate part, in finances, and all of that.
That's great. Well, speaking of capital raising, have there been any tips or tricks or things that you've learned along the way, raising capital or talking to other doctors about investment opportunities that you think would be helpful for folks if they're looking to raise private money?
So one of the things or like the first advice that I would do is just be clear about what's your role, because you want to do that legally and you don't want to have any problems with the SEC. Before getting involved in any project, you need to know what are your responsibilities and what is the extent of your participation, and that's very important. In terms of raising capital itself, it's always more difficult at the beginning. I mean, obviously, you haven't started and people may not know that you have been in real estate or what's your experience in that. In our case, it was a little bit different because we had been in real estate before a couple of years. We had some degree of success already with our property. So it was easier for us to some degree, like transition to that, getting the information, the education, and then we start sharing with other people, initially our circle, and then after we started doing the content to other people. So part important is that also, even in real estate, there are many people who have invested in real estate before, but they haven't heard about the word syndication. It's also part of education. You need to educate a lot, and I also like to share the definition, how's the business plan, and how other people can get involved. And that's part of our mission, to educate people and to tell them that there's options. We're very open about that when we talk to other people. Investing in apartment complexes and syndications is just one way to invest in real estate. And investing passively is also one way. So you can do also actively, you can also do storage, you can also do so many different things. At the beginning and at the end, it's like a question that you need to ask yourself, what kind of investor you want to be and what kind of assets you want.
Absolutely have those goals. And then what I've learned, I've done just a little bit of capital raising at this point and hopefully more in the future. But I learned in my mind, or at least how I conceptualize it, is you're offering an opportunity to someone and you need to know, hey, what are their goals so you can offer them the opportunity that's best for them. And like you said, transparency is key. And, it's scary. The first time I ever raised money, it was terrifying. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be able to steward someone's hard-earned money and that they trust you enough to invest with you. And it's such
Absolutely.
a cool thing. So yeah, Harry, well, what does...
I'm sorry. And at the end, as you're saying, I completely agree, like with you, is an honor, but it's also a responsibility.
Absolutely.
It's a big responsibility to have someone else's capital or money that has worked for so long to get that.
Enormous responsibility. Yeah, I completely agree. What does the portfolio look like now?
We have our single family homes, and as I was telling you before, we want to continue holding them for the long run. We have our apartment complexes. We have been very grateful and blessed that we participated in the last several years in 7 projects. We have over 1,000 units as partners again. And that's also part of the transparency. We're not the only owner, so we're partners in that, in syndication, active partners and passive partners. All of us are partners, all of us are owners, and we continue to look right for opportunity. We have already some prior partners that we have talked to, and again, that we have a good relationship already. So we're looking into opportunities.
Have you seen more opportunity kind of as the commercial multifamily market has been in flux with some of this bridge debt coming due?
Yes, as maybe some people know, since 2022, we have had the highest pace of increase in interest rates in history. Actually, we have had higher interest rates, but not as fast climbing as it happened. Because of that, as you can see, many investors were not able to pencil out any deal or any project, especially last year in 2023. Even now, there's not much activity, but you may see more coming in the next few months or at the end of the year. There have been some headwinds, unfortunately, in any real estate or in businesses that have taken bridge loans where they come to maturity in 2023, 24, or 20. The thing that I always tell people is also at the same time, you're in real estate or you want to invest, not for 1 or 2 years, not for a couple of months, you're on this for the long run. And there's always going to be good investments, great investments and some bad investments
Right.
too. So you need to be educated and you need to acknowledge.
Yeah. Real estate is not a get rich quick scheme. That's for sure. It's important to work with folks that you trust and really understand that partnership, like you mentioned, between the active and passive investors is real, and it is a partnership. And it's really important to make sure that you're investing in someone that you really believe in from that perspective. So yeah, it's really cool to have that transparency. What are you guys working on, any projects right now?
We're working with two of our friends. I mean, and the good thing about these businesses, you usually start as partners and you end up as friends after this long relationship in this project. So we have two group of friends that there may be some opportunities in the next few months. One may be a development and one may be like apartment complex in Florida,
Cool.
right? But we're trying to define what the best direction to go and what's best for our investors too.
Absolutely. What would you say if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, hey, I want to invest as a passive investor, as a limited partner? What would you say is important things for them to ask an operator or ask the folks who are putting on the syndication, the sponsor?
The first thing for them, I would tell them to get educated, to go up there and get information about what is a syndication and how this works, the pros and cons of investing in syndication, because syndication is not for everyone and they need to know about that. For example, I always tell them in a syndication, you don't have the control. You're a passive investor and you need to live with it. It's also a big amount of money. It's a big investment. You need to be prepared for that. So again, if you're planning to have a big expense for the following year or you don't have that much savings, I prefer you not to invest. It's a new method. It's a new thing to learn. And the things that you can go and ask the operators is their background, their experience, and if they have any problems in the past with any of the projects. And sometimes, actually having a problem in a prior project is not something bad. It's actually something good, like because it shows you that he's not lying to you. And second, that he or she has been in this business for quite some time already. And the important thing is that how they manage that problem and the transparency.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite questions to ask. When's a time that an investment didn't come or didn't come to maturity as planned? And what did you learn from it? What are you doing differently this time so that doesn't happen? And it's a great question to ask to see, hey, being transparent, or are they being fully forthcoming with what that was and what they learned from it? And have they learned from it? I think that's really important as they continue to grow and as you gain trust in them to potentially invest in their project.
Absolutely. There's also some questions that people in general recommend to us, the sponsors, about the deals, the return on investment and all of that. However, just being in this business for 3 or 4 years already, I can tell you the most important part is your trust on the operator and their background and their track record. Because honestly, a shiny paper can show anything, can show great information or return or pictures. But again, at the end of the day, is the professionalism of your operator and his track record.
Yeah, absolutely. You can manipulate numbers to look as good as you want them to. And that's definitely something for folks to look out for. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Where do you see Nema Equity? Where do you see that going in the future?
The position where we are in this moment. However, as anyone, you want to grow, you expect to grow. At some point, we would like to start doing our own deals, right? In this moment, we do deals with other people at the group, at the team, and we love that. But at some point, we would like to grow to the point that we can do that as a vertically integrated company. We have all these pieces together. And it's a process. It's something that we have in the horizon, but it's nothing that I lose sleep or anything like that, because you also need to other things. Like you also have your family, you also need to enjoy life. Like we both have kids. I have like an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. That's a very important age and you want to be there for them. I was talking with someone the other day. I was telling him, or he was telling me, I think I remember, if you work too much, if you spend too much time in the hospital or in your business, in 10 years, the only person who's going to remember that you did these extra hours is not your boss, it's not your partner, it's your family. So just think about that.
Yeah, I say that all the time. The only people are going to remember is your family. The patients don't care, the administrators don't care, but your family will remember it. Well, it's great to see that your goals are in the right place and you're focused on the right things. And I have no doubt that you're going to be running these deals on your own, vertically integrated in no time. It's been really cool to see the growth that you've had over the years. One last question. You were talking about the freedom to spend time with your family. How has real estate given you the freedom to practice medicine how you want to, or has it really impacted how much you've been practicing as a pulmonary and critical care doc?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It has impacted a lot in several ways. One of the things is that when you have a passion, when you have something outside medicine, your life, I feel, is more complete, not just about medicine. And I still do medicine, and I plan to continue doing medicine for a long time. It's just like I have other interests, other passions. We understand that physicians are high earners. So it's very difficult, or it takes longer to replace your income. But however, because of our investment and our participation in different projects, we now have more peace of mind in the sense of, if anything happens to me, God forbid, or if I lose my job, or if I want not to work anymore, or any other reason, we have some reserves and have some other investments that will help us right through that. So that's very important. I would say now I go to work to the hospital just because I want to do medicine, not because I. So that's a big mindset change. And that makes you, I believe, a better doctor, a better person, a happier person going to work. And the last thing is, as we were talking before, in the last 2 years, we probably have traveled way more than in the prior 4 or 5 years. And that's also because we want, and we know where our priorities are, and like a nice family and our kids. That has given us the flexibility also to maybe not to take that many extra shifts or do that extra work, and just to focus on other things. I like to spend time and do the things you like with the people you love. I mean, I would say that.
That's perfect. I think we need to end on that because that was beautiful. And that's exactly what Physicians and Properties is all about, how real estate and entrepreneurship can give you the freedom to practice medicine and live life how you want. And you're living that life, Harry, which is awesome. How can folks get a hold of you if they want to know more, if they want to invest in your next opportunity?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. We're very active in social media. We have our Facebook channel, also very active in LinkedIn. And we also, as part of the education process I was telling you about, we have our YouTube channel where we share every 2 weeks a long video and every 2 weeks also short about investing in real estate, not only just in syndications and apartment complexes, but also in general in real estate. But yeah, so they can find us there.
We'll be sure to put those links in the show notes if folks want to take a look there and reach out to Harry. You are very active on LinkedIn and you're crushing it in the LinkedIn space. It's been fun following along there. Thanks for your time. With that, it's been Dr. Harry Nima Zegarra and Dr. Alex Schlo with another episode of the Physicians and Properties podcast, signing off. Hey, real quick, if you're still listening to this, I'm assuming you got value from it. So I need your help specifically. My 2-year vision with this podcast is to help 100,000 physicians learn how investing in real estate can give you the freedom to practice medicine and live life how you want. There are 2 main ways that a podcast grows. One is through ratings and reviews, and the other is word of mouth. If you can please leave me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as send this to 1 to 2 friends that you think would get value from it, we can reach the physicians that we want to reach. Thanks in advance, and talk to you on the next episode. Please note that the information shared on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial or medical advice. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the host and the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense or the United States Air Force.